So Sandeep has a question, and he says, what do you mean when you say gift of celibacy?
Mhm.
God said in Genesis that it is not good for a man to be alone and created woman. If you say that
Yes.
a family takes away from 100% commitment to serving God, haven't there been great people of God like Billy and Ruth Graham who have served God as a family? So, two questions, the gift of celibacy and Billy and Ruth Graham who have served as a family.
Right. Great questions, Sandeep. And so what's happening here is, like you rightly pointed out in Genesis, and I also made reference to that, Genesis 2 in my slide. What's happening here is we have to understand that there is the study of end things or the last things. There is a study of first things, and that's called as protology. The study of end things is called eschatology. The study of first things is called as protology. So when we look at the Genesis narrative, the idea of man being alone, not being a nice thing, and God creating woman so that man will have a suitable companion is the normative, God ordained idea of human companionship within the confines of marriage. So, the normative principle is that we are to marry. But Jesus, when we look at Matthew, I believe it's 19, I'm forgetting the exact verse reference, speaks about the question of marriage and specifically the question of celibacy. When he speaks about it, Jesus says, some are made this way, some are born this way, and some choose to be this way, right? So what he's saying is some are made, biologically. We looked at the idea of asexuality and, intersex people, people that were asexual and all of that. I don't want to go there. So some are genetically and biologically born that way. Some are made that way by other people, right? When you went as a slave to a foreign land as a captive, you were emasculated and you lost your sexual vigor or your sexual appetite or your sexuality. So some are made that way, some are born that way, and some choose to be that way. And now choosing to be that way is what we can fit into what Paul is talking about in 1 Corinthians, right? On this idea of whether to be married or not to be married. He advances an argument and he says, I wish everybody were like me, and I wish everybody were not entangling themselves in civilian affairs, given that the Lord's coming is imminent, and so on and so forth. So he says, unless until you are burning with passion, sexual passion, and you are not at a place where it is not getting the better of you, it is good for you not to be married, he says. He says that from the vantage point of his own life and his ministry and his perspective and the imminent coming of the Lord. But he says, nevertheless, if you are not able to handle it, if you're not given what is called as a gift of remaining single, which is a spiritual gift in the rest of the Bible, which is called as a gift of not marrying, or the gift of remaining single, or the gift of celibacy, Paul says, get married. There are many men and women. There are couples that have served the Lord. There is the example of Aquila and Priscilla that we looked at when we looked at Romans and Acts. And so your case is a good case. But whereas Paul, from his vantage point as a single person at this moment, is saying, this is something that can entangle you and dilute your devotion to God, because there is another person that is there in the equation that you need to please. And so unless a particular person has been given the gift of celibacy, he need not remain unmarried, and definitely it is not a principle for ministry. Now, several denominations and churches have got this wrong, and by default, they expect the ministers of God not to be married, both within Roman Catholic and Protestant denominations. That's not what Paul is saying. And I hope I have answered it. It's a long-winded answer, but I had to say all that to be able to be clear. Hope that helps. Thanks.